Hello and welcome to another simplified Astro video, and finally I get to carry on looking at the Skywatcher Evostar 72 ED. Now, as some of you will know if you've looked at my previous videos, I really rate this little telescope. I think in the price bracket there's very little that's going to touch it. It's really good, it's light, it's compact, absolutely brilliant. Visually I tried it out and I couldn't fault it. Pinpoint stars, very little chromatic aberration for a doublet. I mean, it's really very good indeed. My one criticism that I had with it at the time and had up until now is the stop connector at the end of the focus tube. It's not that good for imaging. It's fine for visual, you know, I had my star diagonal in there and it worked absolutely fine. For imaging, you know, my concern was that with just the two screws in there, it really wasn't good enough for me, particularly if I'm imaging up near the zenith. I wasn't happy in having my imaging train hanging off this. And also I didn't want to mar the nose piece on my fill flattener. So the problem with that is you may think, oh, you can just change out the fitting. For whatever reason, this particular telescope, the focus tube thread is actually slightly different to standard. It's not a standard M54. It measures M54, but it's not. The threads are deeper cut, so a standard M54 fitting won't work. So I had no option to change out the stock fitting for another one that I could use. Fortunately, the guys at First Light Optics have come up trumps yet again. Appreciated that there was an issue with that, and have actually had some custom adapters made just for them. They've had 3 adapters made. I'll put a link to each of these in the description below so you can see each one, and they're only available from First Light Optics, so if you do want something slightly better than the stock fitting, then you need to get them from them. They've had 3 adapters made. They've had a 2-inch compression fit, they've had a T2, and they've had the M48. Now, they're all really well made. I'm quite impressed at the quality of the machining, certainly for the price that they're charging. The anodizing is quite nice. It's like a sheen finish, but I've checked and it doesn't give any reflections inside the scope, so it's very good. The threads are nicely cut. It's just the smooth finish. I mean, they're very nice, quite well made. I'm quite impressed with them. Now, I picked up a few issues with these adapters, and I've fed this back to First Light Optics, and you know, as usual, they're really good, really attentive, are taking it on board, and are going to look at making some changes in the next run of adapters. I'll quickly run through the things that I found with them so that you can you know, be mindful of it if you are going to get the adapters. Now, the first one was on the 2-inch compression fit, and it's only relevant if you use tapered nose pieces, like on my OVL fill flattener. You'll see it has the tapered nose piece, and on the tapered nose piece you find you have a little lip, and that lip is formed when they taper the nose piece. The problem is that the compression fit adapter has a very small narrow lip inside the copper band, so when you slide that on and you do the fittings up, it literally just bites on the edge of the copper band, so it slides off quite easy. I mean, it's not going to be an issue for you if you have a parallel nose piece. It's only if you have a tapered nose piece like this. But just be mindful of it if you are going to have used a compression fit on a tapered nose piece, that you could have a slight issue. The second thing that I found, which isn't really a problem, is just something to be aware of, is if you look at the T2 adapter and you look at the M48, you'll see on the T2 there's a little lip, like a little ridge, and that's about probably 3/4 millimetre deep, somewhere around there, but it isn't there on the M48. It's probably there just to stop the accessories binding up, and it's not really an issue, but it's just, it changes the length of the adapter, so that the M48 and the T2 are slightly different lengths. So just be mindful of that if you are going to use them. Now the last thing that I found is probably a slightly bigger issue. If we screw the fitting in, if I put the M48 in the end of my focus tube, you'll see that the knurled part of the outside of the fitting is only very, very slightly larger than the focus tube. So if you wind it in, then it disappears inside the focus tube. Now I've not wound it all the way in, and I assume that it's going to go all the way to the spindle on the focuser. And if you've got accessories on the front, a camera or a fill flattener, it's probably going to hit that. So you know, really that needs to be slightly bigger so that it hits on the focus surround rather than going inside the tube. So just be careful of that if you are going to use. This is only on the T2 and the M48. It's not an issue on the compression ring. So just be careful of that if you are going to do that. The last thing about the adapters is that when you get them, you'll probably have the same as me, which is that they are very, very well made. It is a very tight thread, and because you've got blackening inside the focus tube as well, you'll probably find they're very tight. So you need to run them in and out a couple of times, and just, you know, it is a bit of a push, but they do free up, and once the blackening comes out and so on, they become quite loose, and they're absolutely fine then, but they are tight to begin with. Now, as primarily an imager, the one thing that was really, really important to me is that I much prefer to use a fully screwed image train. I'm not a lover of compression fit when I'm imaging. I would certainly use this for visual work over the stock fitting, but for imaging I really prefer a fully screwed image train. Now the OVL fill flattener that I've reviewed or just briefly had a look at in a previous video has the tapered nose cone, but one of the benefits that it does have is that tapered nose cone actually unscrews, and what this does then is it leaves you with an M48 fitting thread, which is perfect for the M48 fitting that First Light Optics have produced, which now gives me the screwed fit that I really, really want. Now, because I wanted this as well to be an ultra compact transportable imaging outfit, I really wanted it all to go in just a single small box in the boot of the car so that I can take everywhere and anywhere. And what I found is that the OVL fill flattener uses 55mm or needs 55mm back focus, and as if by spooky coincidence, the Starlight Express Mini filter wheel with the Starlight Express 814 CCD is exactly 55mm, which is perfect. So when used for the low star off-axis guider, has proven absolutely perfect as a really small, light, compact little means to image in LRGB and HA. It's got 5 filter positions, so inch and a quarter, so I've got LRGB and HA in there, and it's great to use this on the end of the fill flattener. Focus is really, really easily achievable with the Lodestar, and it has been very, very good indeed. So I've been taking some images with it, and I'll post some images up on another video at a later stage when I'll show you this actually working on my mount. So if you do want a little compact imaging rig, I really recommend this setup with the OVL fill flattener, and everything that's here I'll link down below so that you can see where to see it at First Light Optics. And you know, I can't really rate it highly enough. I mean, now that we've got these adapters, I'm even more happy than I was originally looking at this just visually. Now with a fully screwed image train, the nice thing is, because it is such a small, light little compact unit, the focus really doesn't change very much once during a night of imaging. Once the OTA has cooled down, it really doesn't alter very much. So I found that throughout a whole night's imaging, I just had to refocus twice. So it's not a big deal. So I'm not even going to bother putting an autofocus system on there, or a motor focus on there. I'm just going to leave it manual focus, so it's nice and compact, fit in the boot of my car. It's great. So hopefully this has been helpful. I'll carry on doing some little reviews on it as I'm using it more. Hopefully First Light Optics will make the new adapters, and we'll have a little look at those once they come in. But hopefully this has been helpful. Please carry on watching the videos and I'll make some more. So see you soon. Thank you. Bye.